For lake commandos, today's advances in fishing technology are tools that are indispensable in the mission to find fish.
In here, in here, in here.
When a commando knows what's happening underwater, you can bet the head-to-head action above the water is going to be intense.
Nice fish, dear.
And today, we've got a pair of lake commandos that plan to prove it.
Well, that's a good double.
I love fishing new water. The challenge is always the same. Find fish, trigger strikes. Ooh, that's a big fish. But what I really love is beating the other guy. I got a fish. This is Lake Commandos. Lake Commandos is powered by Nissan Titan, backed by America's best truck warranty.
Once in a while, a commando mission just feels right from the start, even before you lay eyes on the lake. For Bassmaster Magazine editor James Hall and Hall of Fame angler Steve Panaz, this is one of those days.
We got 1,350 acres right at it.
Ooh, that's a big bite to chew off in one day.
Maximum depth, 95 feet.
Okay.
And here's a kicker.
Uh-huh.
All right, ready for this?
Water
Average
clarity.
water clarity, 16
Ooh.
feet.
Are you up for this?
No,
Are
I'm
you
scared.
up for this? This is.
You know, down south, there's no such thing as 16 feet of water. We don't have 6 feet of water clarity, so I will say I'm a little scared.
So here's the mission, and it won't be easy. The guys will have to dissect a 1,300-acre, super deep, super clear lake with tons of shoreline and offshore structure to find and catch either largemouth or smallmouth bass.
I'm gonna fish a dredger 10.5 and I'll tell you why. This lake behind me has got a lot of structure. It's got some fast breaks. We're gonna need a way to cover a lot of water to see if we can find schools of fish. Now there's both largemouth and smallmouth in here. The smallmouth are bigger than the largemouth, so I'd like to find those, but both bass are gonna count. I'm gonna throw it on a 7-foot 6-inch medium action Veritas 2.0 rod. It's in the winch series, so it's got a soft tip. In terms of line, this is a 10-pound Berkley 100% fluorocarbon. I like fluorocarbon on bait casters that cast well, and the reels handle it really well, and I like in this clear water that invisibility. This is the new Abu Garcia Revo ALX. Think of the MGX, but for half the cost. Super lightweight performance, got aluminum frame, carbon side plates, but all the bells and whistles of the other reels. Bottom line is, this reel, this rod, this lure is what's gonna take James Hall down today.
So it's gonna come as no surprise to Steve that I'm gonna go with the drop shot. I love finesse fishing and I love the drop shot presentation because of its versatility. To pull that off, I'm gonna use this Villain 2.0 rod. It is a 7-foot medium fast action. And with it, I'm gonna use the new Revo X by Abu Garcia. We're gonna go with the Fusion 19 drop shot hook. And we're gonna go with the Swagger tackle tungsten, and we can vary the weights depending on the depth. For the bait, I'm going with the Power Baits Flat Nose Minnow. It's a new bait by Berkley, and it is super soft. I think it's gonna have a killer action that has a great scent. And lastly, and I think this is gonna be key today, the main line that I'm gonna use is the new Fireline Ultra 8. It is super smooth, and I like this for the drop shot presentation, especially in deep water because it's so sensitive. Now, because the water is crazy clear, I went with a 6-pound test, Trilene 100% fluorocarbon leader. And I think this package right here with the line, this bait, and the drop shot, it's gonna kick Steve buttocks.
The weather is nearly perfect for this mission with mild temperatures and nearly no wind. But the guys will have a once-in-a-lifetime celestial event to deal with. Believe it or not, there will be a nearly full solar eclipse during today's mission. And since that's a once in every 100 years event, no angler alive knows how that will affect the fish. They'll start the day with a Berkley dredger, and it takes almost no time for James Hall to strike. Well, kind of.
There's a bass! Oh, look! And I got it in the mouth.
You did.
That counts. James Hall, 1.
Man,
Steve
that is
Bernard,
a
0. Yes, that's a bass number 1 right there.
All right,
Hooked in the mouth.
The history of law,
totally
in
legal.
the history of Lake Commandos, no one's ever claimed that was a legal fish.
Dude, I've been beat by you too many times. I'm taking it. James Hall 1. Steve Bernard, ow.
Well, that's one way to start a commando mission, with perhaps the smallest bass ever caught on camera. But with these two, there's certainly bigger things to come.
Oh my gosh!
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Abu Garcia for life. Berkeley Power Bait. Fish bite and won't let go. Garmin Panoptics, all-seeing sonar. Join the pros who switch to Garmin. Fraybill's Aqualife Bait Station, trusted gear since 1938. Swagger Tackle, premium tungsten sinkers. And by Camp 365, the cabin that goes everywhere. Lake Commandos Steve Panaz and James Hall have started a mission to find and catch multi-species bass on a deep, clear North Country lake. Not the normal environment for a guy from Alabama like James Hall, but for more than 20 years he's been one of the country's most respected outdoor writers, and as the editor of Bassmaster magazine, he's seen nearly every bass fishing situation.
Hey, I've been fishing with James Hall for a number of years. This guy is a ball in the boat, always happy, always laughing, but he's a great stick. And anytime I get a chance to fish against him, I really enjoy it.
So I think the reason that Panaz invites me to this thing on occasion is because he likes to beat up on Southern boys. And I don't mind it at all. Honestly, I'll come down here and get beat by a Yankee any day if it's this kind of fishing. It's awesome. See, color change. Stealing your color immediately pays off. This will make up for my little tiny one.
That's a better fish.
Yeah, it's a little bit more better.
More better?
More better. Come here, buddy. All right, gets me back in the ball game. Thank you, buddy. Go send your mama.
James, we're in 18 feet with a lot of grass down there, and I'm marking some fish. I wonder if it makes sense to go to a 20 crank.
It might.
With only smaller largemouth and no smallmouth so far, and the Garmin showing marks in deeper water, the guys decide to drop the AquaView camera for a closer look. What they see is eye-opening.
The smallmouth are coming to check it out.
So what's happening is we drop the camera, we hit the bottom, we get a big puff, and these smallmouth.
Oh, here they are, here
they come. Look at, see the smallmouth right here? Watch, I'm gonna hit the bottom. There's
another one, there's
three smallmouth. So I'm gonna hit the bottom. You can see the puff right there coming up.
Here they come.
Now watch them come, they just race in to see the puff right
That
there.
is
Look at this.
awesome.
Look, there's 4 of them now.
Oh.
So I hit the bottom again, and they immediately, look at them come to the puff.
That is so cool.
So that's where you run your crankbait down. You
You're
hit
digging
the bottom.
into it, that's
you
right.
can see the reaction. Look at them all. One.
You're collecting smallmouth.
All right, I'm going fishing. See ya.
Thank you.
One of the reasons that I went with a crankbait in a crop pattern was the tempt smallmouth. They love cranks, but I've never seen that behavior before, and that's one of the things you can learn with an AquaView. So the temptation right now is James is going, we should switch to drop shots. We know there's 4 or 5 smallmouth right here because we just saw them on the camera. And if we can't get them to go on cranks, we're gonna have to look at something where we can create a big disturbance on the bottom. These fish immediately came in to check it out. The problem with the crankbait is I can't run it on the bottom, there's too much grass. So we'll give it a shot, but right now it's producing largemouth, but really the goal today is to catch some of those big smallmouth. Fish.
The smallmouth?
Ooh, nice bass.
In the net?
No, not that nice, largy, but it's my best one yet.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a better fish.
That's a largie.
Look at this, he's got a hook hole in his mouth too.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I didn't realize these fish are getting fished that hard here. There's your classic bass right there.
In realizing the key was hitting bottom, that's what we want to do, going with deeper diving crankbaits, but there was vegetation, thick vegetation, cabbage, and some other stuff down there, and then we just couldn't get down to the bottom to create that disturbance without getting foul hooked on the vegetation. So I think had we been able to, I believe that crankbait pattern would have paid off. Steve,
Yeah.
for the love of all that's holy, are we done with the silly crankbait thing yet? Can we
Because
please?
you're losing.
Yes. Can we
I
please
got
get?
4 minutes left.
Ah,
But if you're gonna complain, I'll give it to you. You wanna switch over to the drop shot?
unless I can weigh in grass.
This segment of Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yeti. Yeti, built for the wild.
Come on, smallmouth, where are you?
Steve Panaz and James Hall are in the midst of a clearwater hunt for largemouth and smallmouth bass, fishing out of Thunder Lake Lodge on Big Thunder Lake in northern Minnesota. Steve's dredger crankbait pattern produced a large number of mid-sized largemouth. But after seeing numerous big smallies on the Aquaview, the hope is the switch to the drop shot will turn some smallmouth lookers into biters.
Oh, I had a fish, he ate it on the way down, and it's a better fish. Oh, he's thumping down there.
Yeah.
Nice, boom!
Oh, you jerk.
First brownie of the day. Ooh, the fish feels warm. You wanna hold him?
Hush.
They like the D-worm.
You're gonna be changing.
They like the D-worm.
That's a nice fish, bro.
Lift him up. A 2-aught hook. Got him perfectly in the top of the mouth. This is not a giant, but you know what? In this lake, that's a fairly large largemouth. So just fishing nose hooked. This is the D-worm. It's 5.5 inches long, and that max scent. It's a brand new bait that's just out. Run it on a 2-aught Fusion 19 hook. And I've got a fairly long drop shot weight in this clear water.
So starting out with a drop shot, we started getting bites immediately, but Steve was getting more. His leader length, I noticed, and he didn't tell me this, but his leader length was about 4 to 6 inches longer than mine. I thought, well, you know, that means his bait's sitting a little bit higher, and that's gonna be key to getting a bite here. So I changed my leader length. Got it, I got one, I got one.
I got one too.
Be brown, be
Hey,
brown. Oh,
hey,
dude, this is a
I
nice
got a big
fish.
brownie. You got a big brownie too.
Oh,
you got a
that's a
largie.
big
I got a
largemouth.
brown bass.
Whatcha?
Nice
Look at
fish.
that, look at that.
Look at this smallie.
Holy
Look at the size of the smallie. Oh my gosh! Look at this fish.
Dude, that is a stud.
There's a big smallmouth. You know, our baits landed a foot
Right,
apart.
yes. How cool is that?
That is really cool. Look at the size of this bass.
That's a big fish, bro.
That's a nice brownie, man.
Yeah,
That's a nice largie too.
Yes.
Nice fish, dude.
Yes, that was cool.
Hey, you already know this, but I'm going to mention it anyway. All new Yamaha outboards require a break-in period. Proper break-in is important. It provides the conditions required for the surface areas of critical components like cylinder walls to develop the desired finish for years of trouble-free performance. Some anglers view break-in as work. I view it as an excuse to go fishing because proper break-in requires the motor to be under load during the process, and that means being on the water. During that critical first hour, run the outboard at various speeds up to 2,000 RPM. Hey, this is a perfect time to use your sonar to check out new fishing spots on your favorite lake. During the second hour of break-in, accelerate enough to get the boat up on plane, but don't go to full throttle, and once you get it on plane, back off as much as you can. Over the next 8 hours, run the motor at all speeds, but don't run at a wide open throttle more than 5 minutes at a time. After 10 hours of break-in, your motor is ready to start normal operation. When it comes to achieving peak performance, maintenance matters.
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yamaha, reliability starts here. Berkeley, catch more fish. Plano, protect your passion. Aquaview, the original underwater camera. Yeti, built for the wild. ARE, outfit for life. And by Berkeley Trilene, anglers trust Berkeley Trilene. This segment of Lake Commandos is brought to you by Camp 365, the cabin that goes everywhere. Steve Panaz has a solid lead over James Hall in their multi-species bass battle. But with time running out, James gets what he hopes is a sign from the heavens.
Look at that.
That's so awesome. The only time we're gonna be able to do this is in 100 years, Steve.
That's right.
Oh,
Right.
I just got, oh!
It's an eclipse bass.
That is an eclipse, dude.
Look at that, nice. Oh, it's a large
This
one.
is a largemouth. How about them apples?
Let's see it.
Dude, during the eclipse, largemouth. How about that?
That's cool.
I'll never do that again in my life.
That's cool.
That is super killer. After the earth went dark, the eclipse went by, the bite slowed down. And so I started slowing down with it. And I would, instead of keeping that line really tight where that bait would stay up and wiggle above the bottom of the lake, I started putting slack in my line and letting that bait actually fall back to the lake floor and lifting it up slowly. I started getting some bites.
What do you got?
I don't know.
Ooh, big largie.
No, smallmouth, bro.
That
That's
is?
a big smallmouth, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a 4+.
I think it's that big.
Ooh, that's a brute.
Yeah.
That's a stud.
How about that guy?
That's the biggest one of the day, baby.
Oh, yeah. Look at him.
That is a stud. Nice fish.
Oh, thank you, sir. Whew.
That is a stud.
That's why you come to Minnesota.
With Hall on the comeback, Panaz makes another adjustment, switching baits from the Power Bait Max Scent D-Worm to the bulkier Power Bait Max Scent General, rigged wacky style.
Fish.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
That ain't right.
Whoa, this might be a smallie.
That's a largemouth.
Let's get some power. Oh, smallie, man.
No! Oh, come here. Bad net guy.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
Look at that brown bass.
Look at this.
That dog will hunt.
James, look at this.
Huh?
He ate.
Holy cow. It's
He
all the way
ate-
down his gullet.
He
the whole
ate that
thing.
general. He ate the general. Hey, the key today was to go big. We had to go to the general to get bit, fishing at wacky style. We tried some of the smaller baits. They just didn't want to go for it, but they really enjoyed the general. What's really key here is you can see how these break lines come in, and then there's a point forming right here, and it goes back in again. So we've got a point, we've got an inside turn, we've got an inside turn. This inside turn just produced 4 fish for us, and these points haven't been producing much at all. Oh, I got him. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Uh-oh. Is it a good
Ooh.
one? Good old biggin?
It's gonna jump. Oh, largie. Oh, it just puts one more nail in the coffin. One more nail in the coffin. Hey, normally on Lake Commandos, we don't reveal the body of water for a couple reasons. One, we fished a lot of small lakes that really can't stand the pressure, but two, sometimes I think it's key that it's the type of water, not the lake that we're fishing, that's really the key in catching these fish. Today, we fished Big Thunder Lake near Reamer, Minnesota. We stayed at Thunder Lake Lodge. If you ever want a great place to stay on a great body of water, I'd recommend it.
Unless largemouth.
Dude,
No, say it's not true. You tried, buddy. Thank you for all your help. Wasn't enough.
What a battle today, though.
That was fantastic.
So seeking on the drop shots.
Yes.
Heavy weight.
Mm-hmm.
We had nothing subtle about this.
Nope.
The distance from here to here was about 18 inches to get up off that bottom grass.
Mm-hmm.
And then that wacky rig general, that was the key. But dude, I'm trying.
I thought third time was good. I think you bring me up here just so you have someone to beat. I think that's the way it works.
No,
I enjoy getting beat by you, Steve.
You fish well.
It was fun.
Hey, if you want to win what works for us, visit lakecommandos.com or check out our Facebook page.
I'm Captain George Mitchell. This is Coastal Chaos. You know, folks, there's a lot of decisions to make when you're rigging for saltwater fishing, but one of the most common ones is, do you use a wire leader or a mono leader? Now, we all think we know what fish we're targeting, but you never know what also might be lurking in the same waters. You always want to be ready for what ifs. Let's say you're out Spanish mackerel fishing, you got your spoons and your jigs tied on, and you're only using 40-pound leader, but the next thing you know, your 3-pound mackerel becomes a meal for a 300-pound Goliath grouper. Bam! You gotta be ready. I always keep a rod or two ready for the what ifs. These rods are prepped with number 5 wire in front of the hooks. Now, you know I always use wire on my kingfish rigs. Here you gotta be careful though. Too thin a wire and they can bite through it. Too heavy and you might not get a bite. But when it comes to live baiting for sailfish, we always use fluorocarbon leaders, and lighter than you may think. For real clear water or calmer conditions, I'll drop down to 30 or 40-pound fluoro, but when it's windy and rough, you can get away with 50 or 60. Heck, I've even used 80-pound leaders for the sails. You know, when we're trolling, I always use wire. You're moving, you're making commotion, probably 6 to 15 knots. Chances are they can't see the wire. But you know, you always got to be ready for the what ifs, and the what ifs for me might be a blue marlin, or heck, you might be reeling that dolphin in and a big old shark shows up. We always have the holy cow, there's a blue marlin rod here. This is a 70, it's got 80-pound test on it, wind on leader, but yeah, I've got cable tied to my hook. I can catch a shark with this, but you know what? I've caught my share of blue marlin as well. Coastal Chaos, tips for serious saltwater anglers.